Good morning. I'm going to be talking about why I think Cade Cunningham is a top 10 player in the NBA. First off, let me go through his player profile. He's 25 years old. His height is 6'6", which is rather tall for a point guard. He was the first overall pick by the Pistons back in 2021. He was named an All-Star in 2024, and he was an All-Rookie first team in 2022. Cade Cunningham's style of play. Since he is 6'6", and he's taller than average for a NBA point guard, that allows him to be a physical player, and it allows him to finish through contact at the rim, which is a part of what makes him such a great scorer. But another thing is that he can score from behind the three-point line, he can score from mid-range, and he can score from deep in the paint. But he's not just a great scorer, he's also a great passer, which that makes him an elite level two-way player right there. And he's also just a really smart player. Some of Cade's statistics, specifically from last year. Last year he was ranked top 10 in points per game throughout the entire NBA and top 5 in assists per game throughout the entire NBA. It just goes to show how elite he is in both the scoring and passing aspects of the game. He's a young player, but he's also super talented, and a few traits not really that you don't really see in young players is poise under pressure, exceptional basketball IQ, and ability to effectively run the offense. And Cade has shown that he can do all three of those things, and he possesses all three of those things. So that's a big part, especially him being a young player. That's a big part of what makes him such a good player in this league. Last year, he became the first player under the age of 25 to average at least 25 points, 9 assists, and 6 rebounds since Oscar Robertson did it in 1962. So that shows how rare of a talent he is, especially for someone being as young as he is. I'm going to talk about a little bit. A couple seasons ago, the Pistons were the worst team in the NBA. At some point in the season, they had a 28-game losing streak, and they ended up finishing the season 14-68. That was like the low point in the Pistons franchise for sure. But last year, the year after all that happened, the Pistons ended up finishing 44-38, winning record, and they made the playoffs for the first time since 2018. And a huge reason for that was because of how well Cade Cunningham played. And it was behind him and his efforts that they made the playoffs. And obviously there was other players that helped contribute to that success, but he was the main player. There are a few arguments against why Cade Cunningham is a top 10 player, and one of those is his high turnover rate. His career turnover rate is around 4, I think. Last year, he averaged 4.4 turnovers a game, which was the second highest in the league. So that's definitely an argument for why he's not a top 10 player. But my response to that is that the Pistons use him more than any other player on the team. Last year, his usage rate, it was 34.6%. And usage rate is just talking about Like, what percent of possessions is he involved? Is he involved in? So he's involved in nearly 35% of all possessions for the Pistons. And that's a significant increase from the 31.7% usage rate the season before that. So it's going to show how much they use him, and the more they use him, the more he's going to turn the ball over because the more times he's going to have the ball in his hand. So that's a big reason, and another reason why he turns the ball over lies because he's got a lot of young players around him, young inexperienced players. So some of the turnovers might not always be his fault, but yeah, definitely the usage rate is a big reason for that. Another argument against Cade is his subpar defense, which is probably the main argument. He's not considered a great defensive player at all. His defensive rating in 2024 to 2025 season was 112.2, which is below the average for the best players in the NBA, the star players in the NBA. So that's definitely a weakness for him, but I would like to say that he is still a very young player, and he's grown in that aspect of his game a lot. So, and if he keeps up on this pace of growth in this area of his game, he will get to the point at some point in his career where he is an elite defensive player. He improved his defensive rating from 120.1 to 112.2 over the last 2 seasons. So you can see how much he's improved over just 2 years. So over his entire career, I think that he will continue to improve and get to a point where he is an elite defensive player. And he's still got a long career ahead of him. And he's going to continue to grow as a player. So this is just the beginning, and he's already showed how good of a player he is, scoring, passing, being physical, being a leader on the team. So that's kind of why I think Cade Cunningham is a top 10 player in the NBA. Thank you.